What's up, everybody? It's Friday night. Me and Matt are once again at the shop. The shop is great, honestly.
God, it's so nice having professional grade tools. Holy shit.
Like, I can't believe we pulled this tranny out twice without a lift.
It's so fast and easy with a lift, dude.
For tonight, right as soon as we got off work, Matt went and got us a new battery. She's been a little hard starting. I went and got us an E85 because we are going to be spending yet even more time on the dyno tonight. We think we got the car good and solid right now.
Hopefully this will be the first dyno run in a long time where we don't identify a major problem.
Yeah, and you know, I think that I got our breakup at 4500 under control. We've only taken a couple short drives, but so far it does seem like that is sorted. So we should be able to make some full pulls. We're going to start out making our pulls on wastegate. Just make sure we get the fuel map good and safe, and we'll expand from there and start to increase the boost. Make the fuel safe, make the boost under control. We're going to be shooting for about 18.5 to 19 psi carried throughout the whole run. Yeah, so once we get that all down, we'll be ready for import face-off, and that's really the biggest thing that we have in mind right now. First pull of the night, baby!
See what happens.
Sounded good.
When it got close to 6, it wasn't wanting to go any higher.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It runs up, and then it kind of stalls right here, and I was staying in it. I mean, it ended up getting to 6, but well, either way, we're still way too rich.
Yeah.
All the way up there. Like, from when I went wide open.
What's that right there?
It's a little bit of knock.
Why are we knocking?
I don't know. It usually does that when the turbo comes on.
Yeah.
I'm not sure why. Pull number 2.
Oh, I forgot I lifted that.
That's not the 360 camera either. We would have missed it. Just would have saw the concrete. All right, so here's what I wanted to show you that is a little disturbing. I realized it the other day when we were having spark issues. If you come down real close and look at our coil, there's 2 wires right here on this circuit. One of them goes to the mega squirt for coil control. The other one goes to the tach. Well, both of those things use the ground side of the ignition coil. This over here is my voltage wire by fused voltage for the coil. And if you look, you'll see that there's a negative symbol right here and the positive's over here. So this coil has been wired up in the wrong polarity. And I don't know when that happened. I can't remember the last time we unscrewed the wires off of it. But I don't know. I think we should try switching those and maybe see if that solves our problem. Because perhaps...
Or maybe it'll invent a whole bunch of new problems.
Or maybe that coil is just gonna melt when we change it up because somehow this has just been working. But let's switch those real quick and find out what happens. All right, so we switched the polarities on the ignition coil.
It's running, so that's good.
It starts, so that's something. I don't think this is gonna make any difference at all. What do you think?
No, but let's see.
Right, I figure it ought to at least be right. So we switched the polarities on the ignition coil, which were wrong, and no change, same result. So now we've pulled the spark plugs out of the engine, checked the gap of them. There was a couple plugs that had a slightly loose gap, but not really severe or anything. But in any case, we got a whole nother set of spark plugs we have that we used to run in the car. So just to avoid any question of those plugs at all, we're gonna throw a different set of spark plugs in and see what result we get then. All right, well, we got different plugs in now.
See what happens.
Well, that didn't seem to fix our problem, so we are going to now swap out the coil with another coil. I have a known good coil that we used to run in the car, and then we replaced it with this Blaster 2, but at this point we swapped out the plugs, we checked the gaps, we are now going to swap out the coil, and we'll just have to go from there. Unfortunately, these things are just kind of about eliminating one possible thing at a time. So, according to the trigger disc that we bought, we're supposed to be running our second trigger active on pole level. But every time I did that, I got a cam fault light right here, and I had it set, you're supposed to have it check tooth at number 1. So it's a 12 tooth wheel. So I changed it to check tooth at number 12. And so now, for the first time ever,
We don't have a cam fault.
if I start it, there's no cam fault in pole level. So we've been running rising edge, and I noticed I was taking a log of the crank trigger, and the cam signal got really wide as the RPMs got really high. So I think because of the way pole level works, I think that's actually what we should be running. Let's give it another rip. I feel good about this.
Yeah, hell yeah.
So that hasn't fixed it either. We got it running in pole, but we had it to pick up pole reading on tooth number 12. Well, anyway, it shows this picture of these trigger wheels, and evidently the car will still work if that's upside down, but it takes a lot of adjustment to make it work right. I don't know that that thing is upside down at this point.
But we're gonna try something.
We're gonna go ahead and just flip it over and see, and maybe we'll take care of this problem. So now that's what we're trying next. Work! You bitch! You bitch! Yeah, that doesn't sound promising. Think it's gonna start? It sounds pretty bad, right?
You wouldn't need to like reset the timing or anything if you flip the wheel, right?
Maybe. We would. No clue.
You want to try setting the timing into it real quick?
Yep. I sure do.
Sounded good. So that was the first pull after we flipped the reluctor wheel and retimed everything. We're still set to 212 for pole position, but we don't have a cam fault. Everything felt good, so let's take a look at the log.
That felt good, dude. That
Sounded
right
good.
at the end.
Sounded good.
Kind of bubbled, but everything's kind of funny around here.
A little bit funny. Flipping reluctor wheels and shit.
I know, dude. That's stupid. I don't have any clue if any of this is gonna make any difference.
We're gonna find out. Let's do another pull.
Just take another pull. Let's try it again.
Happy?
It does. It does. We're gonna overheat right here, dude.
There's no thermostat anymore. It's fine.
Yeah, it's fine. Oh, there's a cop.
There's several cops.
They're busy. That felt good.
Yeah, I did.
So we took it for a drive. We're still getting a little bit of breaking up when it's under a high load. So what we're doing now is we're tightening the spark plug gap to 17 thousandths. It was running totally fine at 18 thousandths before. We went 7/0s at 18 thousandths, but damn, it just feels like spark blowout so bad. It's not like totally cutting out or like hitting a wall anymore, but you can just feel it pop, 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 pop whenever you're like really in it. And that's the only time it seems to do it. So we're gonna try that. I went ahead and just cleaned up all the engine grounds really well. So right now, Matt's getting the spark plugs back installed. We're back on the dyno. We were just driving around a lot, and there's quite a police presence in this area at the moment. So they're making us kind of uncomfortable. Although we are a street legal machine, they probably don't like us ripping up and down the street.
It's going super fucking fast as shit.
So we'll see what that does. All right, well, we tried a lot of stuff tonight. I think we've improved the situation a lot. Honestly, like, as the car sits right now, I'd race 11.5 index at import face off. You know, if it comes down to it, we're gonna send it, but we're not totally satisfied.
It's still cutting, not nearly as bad, not nearly as at low RPMs, which is a definite improvement, but we have not solved the issue, that's for sure.
Yeah.
There's something going on.
It really just feels like a couple of misfires take place at the very top of the RPM band.
So,
The car's running strong, man. I mean,
it feels great. It's pulling hard.
it's not like it was. It's not before a 4500. It would totally break apart and fall on its face. It's like a rev limiter, and now it's just like you're getting into it and everything's smooth, and you just feel a little pop, 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 and it's just like an intermittent misfire. I don't know, man. Maybe we just throw another ignition rotor and distributor cap and a set of wires on it. I don't think that would cost a lot.
Yeah.
It
See what it
definitely
does, at
feels
least,
ignition related.
I think at this point, anything is worth trying.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, we've kind of eliminated a whole lot of shit. So I got the Z at my house again. We got to iron out some issues with it still. We, through all our efforts, we have not sorted out whatever it is that's causing the intermittent misfire under high load. I do got some basic ignition parts here that I'm going to be throwing on it. I'm going to be doing spark plug wires, distributor cap, and rotor. Honestly, I don't think that's going to fix it. I feel like whatever this is we're experiencing has something to do with our trigger or with something inside the control module. This is kind of just a last-ditch effort to eliminate any issue with the ignition system. If it continues doing what it's doing, honestly, what I'm likely going to do is just set it back to batch fire, run it off of the main motherboard instead of the MS3X card like I am now. Basically, just go back to the way things were at the end of last year. You know, the car was plenty fast then. I thought that going sequential would have its benefits, but if it's not going to work, I'm not going to sit and fight it any longer. And I'm also not going to keep just posting a bunch of videos on my channel about just us struggling with the same stuff week in, week out. So I'm going to try to get this sorted out while I have it here. We got about less than 4 weeks until import face-off. So we got to get the car as good as possible before then. So I'm going to throw these parts on it. We'll see what happens, and I will give you an update next week with how it all went.